Hi, I'm Tom, I talk about code. Today, we're going to be putting some of our new tooling to work. We're going to be loading TGAs more flexibly within the engine. We're going to be handling different color depths. We're going to be using some of my new non-standard TGA extensions, and we're going to see how they can play into the PlayStation hardware. So let's have a look at the goals for the stream today. Okay, This is kind of what I did between sessions. I tidied up the tool I was writing before, so I finished the TGA parser. I've written a tool to extract palettes. So if I have a TGA file, it's got an image section, it's got a color map section, I can split that out into two separate TGAs that both only have image information, no color map information. But one can be loaded, then these colors can be used as a palette for the other one. Because when we load a color palette on the PlayStation 2, we basically load it the same way we load a normal texture, so we want, like, storing it as a texture makes a lot of sense. My tool does also support just dumping the raw hex values out. That might be an alternative way to load in the future. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. I also wrote a tool called Glob Palette. This can take a bunch of palettes and put them together into one 64 by 64 texture. This is because this seems to be the minimum unit my texture upload can work with, at least. I've got to experiment more with what the minimum texture upload in the PlayStation 2 looks like, but for now, we're going to assume everything is at least 64 by 64 pixels. That means globbing things together, and I think in most situations where we're drawing, sorry, truck going past. I think in most situations where we're still going. I think in most situations, third time's the charm, where we're drawing stuff with palettes, we're going to be swapping between palettes. We're not just going to stick to one palette for a really long time. So I think it makes sense to have multiple palettes in VRAM at once, or at least in main CPU memory at once. Having them together in one file, I don't think it's the end of the world. So we have 3 goals today, okay? The first one, we're going to look at our TGA loader. We're going to improve it. We're going to handle different bit depths. We're still going to ignore color maps when we actually load TGAs. That's fine. Or maybe we should, and that's a whole like other topic. We're going to use TGA better, so we're going to be able to put to use indexed color that we've loaded from a texture. We're going to be able to upload that into VRAM, hopefully, and hopefully when we load a TGA, communicate the actual bit depth back into the Lua table object that we get back. And then we're going to play with this master palette stuff. We're going to load a master palette, we're going to draw from that, and I put a little tile map together, okay? Don't laugh at me, but I'll show you what I drew. I've got a few little tiles here, right? So I'll put these together. Hold on, this actually isn't what it will look like. It's gonna look like this. The other thing I was experimenting with, just because we've got this limitation on upload, was putting the palette as the first tile, which isn't a terrible idea, but I would rather not do it. I think it's a bit less flexible for tooling in general. So we've got like, we're gonna draw like a little grassy scene with some walls, and see how that looks. Okay, that's the plan. Let's do it. You don't really need to see what I did last time, it's fine. Check it out on GitHub if you're interested in TGA parsing and you want to see how I'm playing with these things. It's pretty fun, but for now, let's jump into TGA.c. And the first thing on my hit list, is to commit. So let's add asset pipeline. Always make sure you do this before you start streaming. Pro tip. Asset pipeline join palettes, asset pipeline strip palette. Let's just do these now. Improve. Cool. And yeah, we've got all these extra TGA files from stuff I've been testing that we need to clean up. I'll do this at a later date. Now let's get into the meat of it. TGA.c. Okay. TGA.c. Really hope everything's okay here. Okay. So there's this thing that I've hated, and I've hated it for a long time. We have this temporary buffer. It caused some problems before. We're going to delete it. TMP buffer. Everywhere we have TMP buffer, it's gone. It is now gone. We're gonna, we'll come back to this. But this processing step we're now going to do inline. So temp buffer 2. So we have this buffer called 2, right? Where is it? 2. That's right, yeah, because we pass a buffer in as a void pointer for some reason, and then we have to cast it because that just looks neater. This can probably change. This is a little bit gross. Maybe we just take this as a car pointer, but then you have to cast on the outside. Okay. It may actually be cleaner to accept a void pointer here, because what we give it back as, like, it doesn't really represent a car pointer, right? It isn't really a buffer of bytes, it's a buffer of either bytes or shorts or ints, depending on the color format of the texture. So I think there is some method to the madness. Like, we treat it as a byte array because if it's, for example, 32 bits per pixel, we have to rejig the order of the bytes in order to communicate this back in a format the PlayStation 2 wants to work with. The RGB and A are just in the wrong order. Or, well, I guess the R and the BR, the G and the A stay in the same spot. Which makes this feel like half of these are, you know, this and this, like, literally do nothing. Or basically do nothing, right? We're gonna just take the plunge here and copy directly into our 2 buffer, okay? Because I think we check the size. We don't check the size. Okay. Do I have a to-do for this? I don't have a to-do for this. So, BPP. So we have this bytes per pixel, right? Which we get from this bits per pixel number. So we get this, so this is the size of the image, right? The number of pixels across times the number of pixels up times the number of bytes per pixel. So now what we really want to check is if, actually we probably want to put this in a variable, right? Let's call it a size t header.width, a size t called size equals header.width times header.height times BPP. Cool, and we really need to pass in the buffer length here too. We just got to do this. We just got to. Cool. So size is this. If size greater than or equal to buffer len, then we're gonna have some kind of error. Well, boy, are we gonna have some kind of error. We also need to remember to fclose. So we're returning 0 for errors. Cool. TGA image data too large for buffer. Return fclose. Very important. Very important. Fclose. We've called it f. Beautiful. So now we can come in here and say size. We can come in here, reuse that variable, and we're reading directly into this buffer. And again, actually, we can just read directly into buffer. This takes a void pointer, I believe. Now, instead of to this equals temp buffer this, we go to, we're copying from 2 into 2. Because we're just rearranging, but this also means the ones where we don't actually rearrange anything can just get deleted. So in other words, we swap the bottom byte and the third byte, because in the TGA we're reading this in BGRA and the PlayStation 2 expects it in RGBA, which is a much more sane and normal color format. Awesome. So that's simplified. That's simplified. Do we have any other errors? Yeah, so this is f opened. So we need to have an f close here as well. And we need to have an f close here. And we need to have an f close here. And we need to have an f close. We definitely need to have an f close here. Cool. Okay, I think that's all good. I think that's all good. Now we just need some way to communicate back the... Well, this still assumes that the format of the texture is 32 bits per pixel, right? So this all says if BPP equals 4, then we do this. If BPP equals 1, now. So BPP should either be 8, 16, 24, 32, and it really shouldn't be anything else, but I have also used, BPS, bits per pixel. I have also used 4 because the PlayStation 2 supports 4-bit indexed color drawing. Sorry, there is a moth. I think we'll be okay. So I really do... I'm a bit torn about this. We need to know the BPP to do this calculation, that's fine. But we really want to error out if it's not... if header.bps mod 8 not equal to 0, but also, so if this and header.bps not equal to 4, right? So if both of those, so I want to say error if it's not a value we expect. I could just do an or case, I guess. That might make more sense. Look, I'm not going to overcomplicate here. If header.bps equal not equal to 4 and header.bps not equal to 8 and header.bps not equal to 16 and header.bps not equal to 24 and header.bps not equal to 32. These are the only color formats we want to understand. You know, you could have 64-bit colors somehow if you really wanted to have insane bit depth on each of your color channels for some reason. You could do it. We're gonna error if that's not the case. So is and the right logical operator here? Yes, because it has to be none of these. This condition happens if none of those equalities, or none of these things are equal to. Yeah, in conclusion, yes. We log error, we say unexpected BP bits per pixel in TGA. We say f close f and we return 0. Beautiful. So now we know this is a value we want to work with. We can do our BPP calculation. That's beautiful. And now we go. We're going to do this based on the header field. Because if this is 4, we do nothing. If this is 4, if this is 8, if this is 16, I think we have to swap. But no, if it's 16, we want to expand, do we? What does... Hold on, what does... Where are we? I can't remember what the TGA image spec actually says about this. Okay, we're also going to pull up the system hardware manuals, look at the GS information about color formats, because I can't remember... Well, no, so the PS2, right? PS2 16-bit color looks like this. It's A, R, 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 G, 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 B, 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 right? 16. Terrible handwriting, cool compact format, where the A acts as a flag, right? If this is set, then it pulls in alpha from somewhere else. If it's not set, then there's no, then it's fully opaque. Has an alpha value of FF. So 16. Is there 2-byte entry is broken down as follows. An A represents an attribute bit. So this is actually the same format just without the A. So that's cool. And they go in the same, except I don't think they go in the same order. I think we're big endian in PlayStation 2 world. Are we big endian? Or are we little endian? This says red, well, it doesn't matter, right? This says red goes at the little end. TGA says that blue goes at the little end. It doesn't really matter. But if blue goes at the little end, okay, I think we have to swap the colors. So if 4, we do nothing. If header.bps equals 16, I think we swap the bits. If header BPS equals 32, then we do this. If header.bps equals 24, then we do a simpler version of this. So this is going to be a bit of copy and paste, okay? But it's not the end of the world. This is actually exactly the same operation. So except this is times 3. So it's not quite the same. But we could just replace this with times BPP, right? Because this will either... Okay. That actually... This works. This works. This works. In conclusion, if I stop talking for a second and think, we can reuse this loop because the only thing that would differ between those two versions of that loop was the number 3 and the number 4 here, and so it's like, well, we already have this in a variable that we can just use, so why not pull that variable in? It's a thing of beauty, except we need to call this BPP and not PP. Cool, so we swap, and then similarly here, do we rewrite this loop? Okay, so now we do the copy paste. And again, we could probably actually put this all inside one loop and then put the if statement at the lowest level. I'm gonna pop chat out for that comment. Napalm 3D, welcome. Always good to see people I don't expect here. You're a Quake guy, right? Am I confusing with someone else? I'm pretty sure you're a Quake guy. I'm pretty sure that's where I know your name from. Okay. Yeah, Diabolical Mapper played Quake. Cool. And I think I remember you did some coding as well. But maybe I'm going crazy. I've had a bunch of Quake guys come in and be like, what is this nerd shit that you're doing? It's great. Okay, so we're going to swap the bytes. So we go +1 equals this, +0, which is just this, and this +0, which is just this, equals this, +1. And let me clean up these +0s, because really that is just a little bit ugly. Cool. So we swap. And if we have an 8-bit or a 4-bit indexed image, then we just don't need to do anything, right? These bytes, these nibbles, they're going to be in the right order. They're going to be in the order that we expect. There is no extra work to be done because like they are just in units of bytes. Okay, so the problem is going to be that when we call this from Lua, when we say load Lua, right, we call this, where is it? So I mean, for one thing, here we just malloc this, not great. This is going to over allocate for every texture on the CPU. We'll wear this for now. Eventually we need something a little bit smarter, but we will wear this for now. Or will we? See, we could split the reading out into two functions, right? We could have function 1 that says read TGA header, and then function 2 that says read TGA body. Sus Kool-Aid, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to... I don't know, every day I'm less and less sure what this is becoming. Because if we have, for example, a 4-bit indexed texture, the width times the height... I mean, for one thing, we don't want to pass the width and the height in as arguments. That's really dumb. So maybe we do shoulder the inefficiency. I think in my mind, right, eventually... hold on, let me just... 16-bit color... in my mind, eventually we probably have some kind of gigantic table that we can load in, right? Some kind of manifest. I want to be able to say, you know, rather than like, at the moment, let's say load foo.tga and it's like a 10 by 20 texture or something, right? This kind of sucks. I want to be able to have some... I want to be able to say like resource... yeah, let's get resource like foo. Or even, I mean, resource.foo dot load, maybe. I want to have it pre-loaded, like the structure. So this will know the width, this will know the height, this will have an expected BPS, I guess. Or maybe not. But this can then talk to some like resource manager, request an appropriately sized buffer, pass that into a load function, which, you know, and kind of have this like a net, like the equivalent of this function. So I guess this function may still stick around, but our main way of interacting with it should be through something higher level. my goal, like, we need some kind of fancy resource manager eventually. I don't know if that'll actually live in this code base or somewhere else. So maybe this is a good thing that can be called by other things, by higher level things. Maybe the width and the height is not that bad. But the malloc in here is going to be a problem. The malloc is going to become a problem. Really, it needs to take a buffer in as an argument. So what if we do that instead, right? So what if we have a width and a height? What if we don't have a width and a height? What if we just take, what if we go, so let's arg1 equals buffer. So lua push string, what if we push, so arg1, so we want to get the pointer, void buffer equals, we want to get the pointer, we want to get the head, and we want to get the size. We need to get all three. And then instead of building this new structure here, we just like modify an existing structure. That feels a lot better. Then we can do all of our resource management completely outside the TGA stuff. I don't know why I didn't do this first. Okay, so buffer equals lua to user data, lua get field L1, lua get table, what's it called? I think it's lua get table, right? Lua get table. Yeah, perfect. So lua get table pushes onto the stack the value tk, where t is the value at the given index and k is the value at the top of the stack. So at argument 1 with the field pointer, we grab that out. And then we say lua to user data with the thing on top of the stack. Then we do it again. Lua push string head. Oh, let's go size first. For no particular reason, lua get table L1 int size equals lua to user data. To integer, sorry. Man, Vim is really insistent that I should be calling it that. And then lua push string beautiful. Okay, so we've set this up to be read in Lua. Perfect. Chishaba1 as well, thank you very much for the follow. Sorry, I missed that a few minutes ago. I went deep into Lua, Lua thinking land. But we're getting there. So this no longer exists. Right? This is now what we pass into this function. It now takes a buffer. It takes a size. So this is good. Low TGA to raw. And then it's going to be, I think, literally just size minus head. But I think C may yell at me for doing it like this. I don't know what happens if you subtract from a void pointer, right? You can. It should just treat it as bytes, right? Should just treat it like bytes. Mad supervillain, he's thinking and coding. I know, right? It's a rare skill to have. Not many people possess it. But some of us just have brains gigantic enough to tolerate it. Okay. So if I do this, it shouldn't be a disaster. And we no longer need to actually create anything new, which is awesome. Do we return anything? We should probably return success or failure. So what if we go lua push boolean, and I think 1 is truthy. I think. Let's also actually check the return value of this for something novel. So I've said 0 is failure, right? So actually, wow, look at this. Look at me. And I mean, even better, right? I can actually call an error from Lua. I can trigger a Lua error. Lua error. Yeah, so you push it. That okay? Let's do this. Let's do this. If RV then Lua push string. I don't know what we're meant to do returning from this. Yeah, okay. Let's just assume we still have to return something. Oh, let's assume we still will return something on the stack. Lua push string. Actually no. Let's return 0. We'll return 0. Let's say failed to. Let's give it the thing as well. Let's go. Where'd we go? Where'd we go? Failed to something. Failed to load texture. Would be great to actually have the texture name in there. Can we use like a stack allocated string? What? How is Lua push string implemented? Lua GitHub. I've gotta know. I've gotta know. Lua push string. Push string. Buff. So let's maybe not. Where is this implemented? Lua.h, Lua.c. Oh wait, is it? Oh no, here we go. Lua push string. S. If s equals null, then blah blah blah. Lua s new. Yeah, so it gets like interned into Lua memory world. Internal copies at yeah, perfect. Okay, so I think I can go. Let's. How big should our buffer be? 200 characters? Why not? And I think man s and printf. I really need to install man pages on this machine. It's a bit of a oversight on my part. S and printf string size format. Yes, 200. Fail to. And it's the just f name. There we go. Except. Okay, I think this is okay. I think this gets copied. I think this is a copy. We'll find out very quickly. arg1 equals the file name. arg2 equals the buffer. So all of my get tables just need to change to referencing index 2 now. I think we're good. I think we're good. And this is actually going to report an error if something goes wrong. Isn't that exciting? Rather than just silently failing and leaving me dangling, it's now going to yell at me. Beautiful. Beautiful. If I wanted more expressive error returns, I could actually like put different stuff here. But log error will, like we're actually logging error messages as well, so that'll be fine. That will be fine. Okay. So we've got this load function. I think it's going to work beautifully now. Size minus head. I'm still a little bit iffy on this, right? Because head. Let me think. If I go to buffer Lua and I go push int, how far do we advance the head? Head +4. Okay, no. Yeah, this is in bytes, so this is gonna work. This is gonna work. First time. I'm gonna run Docker, because I haven't done that yet apparently. Let me just rejig my screen. That was not correct. No, hold on. Where's my... There we go. Okay, perfect. Sorry. Alright, so now, not run, build. And a few things have gone wrong. 2 is undeclared. 2 is undeclared. Line 79, 2 is undeclared. That is because we're just, yeah. I guess now that, what if I do this? What if I do this? Yeah, but 2 is undeclared because it's not called 2 anymore. We're going to call it buffer. And now B is undeclared because it's now called buffer. It's the same problem. It's the same problem. And then we just have that, yeah, and that solved the buffer. It was complaining that this variable is unused as well. So if I run this now, it's going to blow up at me, right? Attempt to index a nil value TT. Lua execution error. Attempt to index a number value. Is there another error in here somewhere? There should be another error, right? Putting screen print, init. It should be after the init. The start event, attempted to index a number value. Attempt to index a number value. Well, that would be because I'm doing this. That would be triggered by this line here, because when I go into, for example, clut.lua, I call load texture. I call it with this width and this height. So it is trying to get the pointer field of the number 64. The number 64 doesn't have a pointer field, luckily for us. So what I need to do instead is to make buffers. Okay, so if I go into draw 2D, new texture, I use this new function called rmalloc, and this is going to be what does the heavy lifting for me here. So let's go rmalloc. Okay, we know that, let's go, our big palette is 64 by 64. The format is going to be gs.psm32 and the alignment 0, that's fine. And so then if we give it, let's say, pal equals this, pal. Okay, what about this? What about this? How are you going? Cannot upload texture that has not been allocated. That's fine. Attempted from arithmetic on a nil value width field. That is less fine. I guess I'm missing some fields, right? I meant to set some extra stuff on this as I go. So a texture is a buffer with some extra information. So I guess it's got to be set from somewhere, right? So I guess crudely I can go pal.width equals 64, pal.height equals 64. And I think that might be enough information. Not quite. What else have we got? Nil value width. I set a width. Nil value, VRAM 38. Was I a little bit reckless cutting this out? Let me just like grab my code up. github.com. Oh man, we're getting some stars now. That's exciting. That is exciting stuff. We're also due to cut another release soon, I promise. Our issues are really quickly collapsing. Okay, let's go. TGA.c. No distraction. No distraction. We set and pointer. No? Okay, so where does width come from? Oh, the load texture function does a bit of extra work, doesn't it? I'm not load texture. This calls TGA load. Okay, okay, there we go, there we go. So actually, I want to undo all of this. So I could, I'm lost. Okay. So let's look at load texture, right? We could add another function to this. We could say we could add a function that just gets the header of the TGA, and then we can go head.width, head.height, or maybe call it meta even. Metadata.width, metadata.height, let's say TGA BPS as to GS PSM. and then we can come in here and say buff equals, well, we can go, no, sorry, tt dot, well, we can even up here, right? No, we can't, hold on, data equals nil. tt dot data equals rm dot buffer. We can make a new buffer, again, like we're doing down here, or rm dot alloc, sorry. The VRAM size of a texture with in this format with no alignment. We don't care about alignment. And then we could say TGA load fname tt.data. This would work. This would work, right? This, we would have to implement a function that can just read the header of a TGA, but that's not that big of an ask. We need to implement this, which we can do pretty trivially in Lua, right? So if I go into like PS2 init, we can just like add some stuff. Let's go function TGA dot, what is it? TGA bps to gs psm. Hey, so just a really dumb conversion, right? If I equals 4, then return gs, or I guess we can even make this a table. bps to psm, right? We can go 4 equals gs.psm 4, 8 equals gs.psm 8, 16 equals gs.psm 16, 24 equals gs.psm 24, 32 equals gs.psm 32. That's probably all. I think that works. I think we can do that. Cult 0. Welcome, first time chatter. Game modder with some retro experience. That's awesome. What games have you modded, especially on the PS2, but the GameCube as well is a console I'm very, very interested in. And I have a love for the PlayStation 1. Right, it's got a real janky look. It's dear to my heart. Cool. Man, we can even make this a table, right? So we can go TGA dot. Can we do this? Is this gonna work? Let's just bring up our Lua REPL and test it. X equals 4 equals foo, 5 equals bar. What is this saying? This is how you do tables, right? X equals 4 equals foo, 5. Okay. Okay, so X I think we can initialize a table like this. Maybe not. We'll find out. We'll find out. We'll find out. Okay, so sorry, load texture. Cool. What if I run this now? That should give me something, right? Fair to... Okay, no, it doesn't like the syntax, unfortunately. Started with GameCube and Wind Waker. Wind Waker was a good starting choice. There already exists a modding community. Nice. Nice. Yeah, so actually like changing the game's, like modifying the logic of the game as well as assets. That's wild. I imagine that must be a pretty like fragile system, right? Like it would be easy to step on the wrong eggshell and have everything just fall apart. I would love to do some PS2 game modding. I would love to look at how the Ratchet and Clank games especially are put together, try and do some stuff with them. They would be fun to play around with. I'm a big fan of Jak and Daxter as well, but the fact that they were written in their own programming language kind of makes that feel inaccessible. Okay, so we actually have a make rule for this, right? So it doesn't like this. It doesn't like this. So I guess we just initialize it the long way. TGA.b. Yep. Yeah, Wind Waker's near the limits of the memory. That's the thing with the PlayStation 2, right? Like once you try and do anything with the I/O processor, you know, like it's hard to find space in some games to get stuff done, and especially with the way PlayStation 2 graphics work, it would be easy to just, you know, crash whenever you try and do anything. Okay, so now if we make Lua this is a different file. Draw 2D. Maybe that was actually fine, and I'm just dumb. What file? What line was that? I already forgot. 229. Okay, well that's good. That runs now. And if we run it, attempt to call nil value header. Yes. Excellent. So let's go back to TGA.c and let's write a function which just gets the header. Let's make this a pure Lua function, right? Because then, I mean, this is only 18 bytes. We can grab that on the, we can grab this on the stack and then put it directly into a Lua table. Cool. So in Lua TGA get header. So after Wind Waker, you branched out into the Legend of Spyro. I have played this game. It's not one of the classic. Yeah, the PS2 era trilogy. It never really grabbed me quite as much as the original Spyro trilogy. I did not know that Elijah Wood voiced Spyro though. That's wild. I feel like that's one of those like, did I just enter the alternate timeline moments? You know, that I did not know this. Mad supervillain. Why hadn't you told me this? I rely on you for weird game facts. You've let me down. Maybe, how many fields? I think it has 12 fields, right? So, Lua to string we're just going to copy this. We're just going to copy this. I guess we'll copy the whole logic. Screw it. We'll just call it F again. It's easier. Okay, so we've got the header. And now we're going to go. So this is position 1 on the stack. So Lua, let's define a macro for this because it's going to be quicker. So we have a name and we have a value. Oh, Oof. Cold Zero, you branched onto the PlayStation 2 Treasure Planet game. That is one of those games from my childhood that no one else has ever played. I played it recently. It didn't hold up as well as I remembered, but it was still pretty cool. Some of the levels were quite fun. It controlled well. You know, it looked alright. That's a solid, like, not a standout game, but a solid, fairly high quality game. What have you done with it? What have you modded with it? Or have you just, like, extracted files and stuff? I would be very interested in that work. Please tell me about it. Lure, push, string. No, push, integer, L, value, set field, -2, L, -2, name. Beautiful. Alright, so we're just going to use this because these are a bunch of integer fields. Set int, it is width, it's just called width. Header dot width. What else have we got? ID len, not important. Image type is important. This is really bad style. Everywhere else I've used underscores, and here I've used camel case for some reason. Mostly made some texture and audio modding tools. Not quite as impressive, but it's hard to tackle a game on your own. That is absolutely true. Reverse engineering how some of these games are put together is quite a feat. I feel like now that I know how to read graphic synthesizer buffers, I would be in a much better place to do it. Like, I would love to try and dump out some of the graphic stuff. Again, like, for example, from Ratchet and Clank, and look at how it works. Geometry data from static objects. Nice. Did we play Protector of Earth? I don't know that game. PS2? No, I don't know it. If anyone does know about the Ben 10 game, yeah, no, I was at an age where I was interested in Ben 10 for a little bit, and then I decided I was too cool for it, right? I was right on that cusp, right on the fringe. When it started airing in Australia, I was like just old enough to think it was cool for 5 minutes, and then decide I was too cool for it. X origin, Y origin, we don't need. Okay, I think this is actually everything we're gonna need for now. Let's reduce the scope of our table, and then we should just return 1. And F close. Always F close. Yeah, sure. Now, naturally, we're gonna have a few errors here. Discards const qualifier from pointer type. Now, this is one to think about, okay? Lure to string. Okay, we just put a const in front of it. That's fine. Do I do this up here? Do I do down here? Sorry. Do I do this? I do. So basically, we guarantee that this is a pointer to a character which is constant. We guarantee that the data doesn't change. We make that promise. Beautiful. Then next no value local TT. Okay. Treasure Planet PS2 has some index textures with alpha values in the color palette. Yeah, I would expect most PS2 games to have index textures, or at least ones that really want a gun for like high fidelity textures. Alpha values in the color palette. Again, this is actually standard. So I've been doing color palette stuff, right, for the last, 3 or 4 streams. And I have learnt that the PlayStation 2 only supports, like, if you have either 16-bit color or 32-bit color in your color palettes. And if you have 32-bit color, you have alpha. There's no 24-bit no alpha option. Alpha or bust. And I think it's the same with 16-bit. There isn't a 16-bit color format on the PS2 that doesn't have alpha, although the alpha is, as I put in here, it's a 1-bit flag. If that alpha's set, it reads a register set in the rasterizer and then pulls out an actual whole byte to like mix in with the rest of the data. Which is convenient because this is the same kind of setup that TGA uses, except the A bit here is just like a generic flag, which fortunately we actually use in PlayStation 2 land for something. Or gets used. I mean, it's a fixed pipeline, so we have no control over it. Did I lose chat? I lost chat. Where did I put chat? This keeps happening. This keeps happening. Where did it go? What scene was I on when I dragged people across? Here. Cool. For a kid show, they put effort into it. Yeah. No, I hear good things. I hear people talk about it. Okay, so TT was nil. That means that draw 2D, when we load this texture, we return TT. Why does this nil TT, right? There should be no world in which TT gets is nil, because we attention to index nil value. Draw 2D line 250. No, it's when we co-upload texture with it. So if I go into CLUT, powers load texture, yeah, somehow this really does seem to give back. It's really, oh, that's new texture. Upload texture, yeah, return TT. There's again no world in which this should be nil. You haven't found any image editors that properly support exporting alpha values for an indexed image. No. Do you want a tool that oh, well, yeah. Color quantizing things, put the color palette separately. One of the things I've been doing, again, just for like my assets, because I'm doing everything in Targa, I've got tools that let me, well, yeah, in my tooling, for example, if I draw like something in Sprite and then export it, it has, I think, 24-bit color, right? So when I expand it, yeah, I've got to add an alpha channel and then unadd it. When I'm playing something, color content, yeah. Is there any tool that can easily extract models from PS2 disks? Every game has its own formats. Every game has its own data structure. There's no homogeneous tool that will do it. There are some tools. Some people have done some work. If you want to, like Kingdom Hearts, well understood, well reversed. Ratchet and Clank, there's a tool called Wrench. I need to be much more specific. Which... that's not it. I think it's called Wrench. Anyway, it lets you load a lot of the game assets and edit things and stuff. It's cool. It's cool. But yeah, no, there is absolutely not a one-size-fits-all option, and especially for the PlayStation 2, people use all kinds of weird binary formats for their data because, like for example, from what I understand of Ratchet and Clank, from what people have reverse engineered from that, their models are in a format that lets them just directly pipe them into the graphic synthesizer. They don't have to load, they don't parse an object. And for example, in my pipeline, what have I called this? Pipeline. I've got a script that does exactly this, right? So I have my 3D models in .obj format. I'm not using 3D models at the moment, I'm focusing on 2D, but when I was playing around with it, I read an object file and I just output the raw vertex data in a format that I can pipe directly into the PlayStation 2 rasterizer, no extra processing. But, you know, if you don't have the hallmark signs, if you don't have like file headers that are well understood and stuff, if you just have a blob of binary data like this, it's very hard to work out where they actually live. Okay. So let me go into here. Let me print. Let me just print something out. See what happens. Hold on. Whoa. I realize what's happened. Okay. So this function actually errors, which means it returns nil, I guess. But if we just go back to TGA.c and use our heads, lure push C function, lure, what did I call this? Lure TGA get header. I need to actually tell lure that this function is there. And now we load and we run and nothing happens. So that's progress. That's good progress. Ps1 Textures. Yeah, Ps1 Textures are weird, right? They use all kinds of different modes. I know the PS2 has a frame buffer mode that is PS1 compatible, but yeah, it's weird. Able to extract the true color level screen textures, but none of the in-game textures. Yeah, I expect that the in-game textures will be in weird formats. Do you think devs keep the project files on 90s games? No, they don't. Lots of these original files, lots of these source files, lots of these like even like in progress builds, lots of them are lost, right? If you ever played the Oddworld games on the PlayStation 1, like Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, Oddworld Abe's Exodus, they're on PC as well. All of their original assets, they were backed up on tapes, on like magnetic tapes. They all got lost. They all got destroyed, right? None of the original stuff still exists, which is tragic. But there is a cool community of people who have reverse engineered the PC ports, which is some really fun work. And if you like those games, you should check it out. It's worth looking into. And they're cool people who I've known for a little while. I actually wouldn't mind trying to port that to the PS2 at some point, but for now we have to work out why we've got a nothing drawing here. So actually, let me think. Bigpal.tga. It's not really what I want to be drawing at the moment. Let me open it and just make sure it's still something good. Where are we? Workspace, PlayStation 2, 3D test. Bigpal. This is my 64 by 64 texture. Yeah. So this should be fine. This should be good. So something's going wrong in the upload. I guess I probably need some more logging while I actually load this file, right? Reading data ID in bits. So do I see anything logged when I run this? I should see the thing buffer for Lua. Size is this. Cool. Big Pal. Loading TGA. Allocating buffer for Lua. Uploaded. Open TGA. Yeah, so we open it twice, which is wasteful, but whatever. Yeah, reading ID data. TGA image too large for buffer. Okay. Now, this sounds familiar. We dealt with a little bit of stuff like this before. Where is my... What is going on here? So, Python... Okay, so let's go 64 times 64. That's 4096. So, that's not the right... So, that's the size of our buffer. That's not the right size. Okay? So, our buffer, if I run again... This is what this is telling us, right? Our buffer... yeah, so we're making a buffer of this size. Image data too large for buffer. This is a problem. This is not big enough to hold... this is a true color texture, right? This is either 24 or 32 bits per pixel. So 64 by 64 doesn't cut it. We need 64 by 64 times 4, which is much bigger. Much bigger. Some games are going to be lost forever. To make the GTA remaster, did they keep the original files? That one I'm not sure. I know the textures and stuff, as far as I remember, were upscaled rather than based on like original source assets, right? Like they just took what was in the game, they extracted it, they upscaled it. I don't think they had source assets to work from. Another example of a zany remaster was the original Kingdom Hearts when they did it for the PlayStation 3. All of the original assets had been lost, so their starting point for their HD remaster was the finished binary for the retail PlayStation 2 game. They pulled it apart, they reverse engineered it, they pulled the assets out of it, and then they upscaled those assets and ported it, all of like the game logic and stuff, to the PlayStation 3. It seems like a very data-oriented game, so as long as you understand the data formats, I think porting it wouldn't be too hard, but it's still like wild that they had to do that. Like the source code was gone. There was no source. There was not a line of code. There was not a single original asset left. They started with the finished binary and they worked backwards. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It sounds like it shouldn't be reasonable. It sounds like it shouldn't be possible. Okay, so we're going back into Draw2D, everyone's favorite file. We're looking at how this gets done. TT format. See. Okay, let's print this out. Print. Loading texture. Let's go meta.width, meta.height. height. And then we're going to also log the format. And then when we run this, we're hoping to see something a bit more meaningful. So when this all gets done, right, so allocate a thing. Big pal, where is this? Where is this? Load texture 65/64, PSM equals 0. PSM equals 0. Which PSM mode is 0? We need to head into PS2 SDK for this. So let's go. PSM 32. Yep, so PSM 32 is 0. PSM 32 is 0. So we're saying this is a 32-bit texture, which is beautiful. Now if I go into VRAM and the VRAM size function, oh, because this is in words. This is in words. So we want to allocate. Okay, this isn't ideal, but we'll survive. Let's see what happens when we come up here. This should no longer say too big for its thing. Where are we? Buffer, yeah, nice big buffer this time. TGA image data too large for buffer. Okay. Okay. Why did they delete them? Yeah, no. The things don't get deleted on purpose. The backups may go bad. There are so many ways things can get lost. It's not necessarily deleted, it's just lost. One thing you'll say for retro games, they do seem to use some common audio formats. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why. I think graphics, like everyone wants to have their own graphics solution. It's more exciting. Audio tends to be a bit more one-size-fits-all for whatever reason, right? But yeah, like everyone wants to reinvent the wheel for graphics because they have such a diverse range of needs, and especially with PS2 hardware, which is so bizarre and so hard to work with. Beast Hunter main turning into a Linux junkie. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. I am going to take a quick BRB because I have to run to the bathroom, and then we will get this thing working. All right, we're back. We're back on it. Did I lose? I lost the chat window again. Where'd I put it? Where'd he go? Here. It's okay. I found it. Okay. Soul Calibur 2 for the GameCube uses the same audio bank format as Donkey Kong. Donkey Konga. Soul Calibur 2 audio. Interesting. Am I essentially trying to rebuild the interface for the PlayStation 2? Kind of, right? The rebuild. I mean, there is PlayStation 2 SDK, which is a really amazing project, right? Which has a bunch of. Why is this off center? Has a bunch of really cool stuff in it, right? If you go into EE, there's like there's implementations of all kinds of cool graphics libraries. There's a drawing library. There's a 3D math library. There's an MPEG parsing library. Packet and Packet2 are for doing graphic stuff. LibGS and libuvx are, you know, powerful, interesting options. But I don't really vibe with the code style, and they're also kind of hard to troubleshoot if things go wrong, if you don't understand the underlying hardware. I wanted to try and build something in a sense a bit simpler, and I've ended up doing a lot of it in Lua. But yeah, you know, I'm not gonna look at the Sony tools, right? The Sony SDK. I don't want anything to do with it because that's proprietary and closed source, and you know, anything I do could get taken down by Sony. I've never opened the Sony SDK. I've never looked at it. I'm making it up as I go along because the PS2 is kind of a beautiful console, and the idea for me has always been to understand the hardware. So there's no better way to do it than this. It's just kind of painful and slow. So why does this not work? Why does this not fit? Okay, so here's an important thing, right? Data too large for buffer. So what I really should be doing here is logging the size of the buffer, right? If I'm saying it's too big, that's not a useful log message. What I should do, where are we? TGA image data too large for buffer. Image data, let's do it like this. D, too large for buffer, D. Size, buffer, len. Build, run, perfect. So now we're gonna get a more meaningful error message. Image data too large for buffer. Okay, so they're the same size. More power to me. Thank you so much. Yeah, look, it's a slow, painful journey, but we're making some big wins now, and once some of this more fundamental graphic stuff comes together, like, I'm gonna have to solve texturing really thoroughly at some point. You know, I wanna, the way I'm building this means that I can do really flexible stuff. So I don't know if the PS2 SDK out of the box code will support, for example, where are we? Let's have a quick squiz at the hardware manuals again. One of my favorite things to do and then pretend I don't do. Where is it? Here. So one of the cool things about the PlayStation 2, okay, quick sidetrack. I've shown this a few times. I love it. This is, sorry, I thought my phone went up there. This is the pixel format for 24-bit color depth, true color pixels, right? So no alpha component, just RGB. If you have, like, you end up with these 8 bits unused, right? You can't have a frame buffer that has densely packed 24-bit pixel data. You end up with 8 bits at the top that aren't used. So what's interesting about this, where is it? Oh no, it's not here. Okay, what's interesting about this is there are texture storage formats that have, for example, 8-bit indexed color that, you know, have 4 indexed color bytes per 32-bit word, or there's an alternate format that just has 1 per word, but it's in this section here, and you can overlay an 8-bit texture on top of a 24-bit texture. So I want to be able to load this stuff and have very flexible tools and make my memory layout scriptable in Lua if I can, because I think it's something that I can do slowly once when I load a level, but not every frame. So putting it into Lua should be manageable. So I've got all these crazy ideas about making this stuff flexible and easy to work with. Image data too large for buffer. So yeah, so I'm reading the buffer length. It really, well, my size starts at 1, right? A 1 by 1 by 1 image has a size of 1, but that will fit in a buffer length of 1, so it's greater than. And I need to build. I need to rebuild. Run. Oh, that I just closed that instinctively. That actually loaded. The colors aren't quite right, but we're getting there. Something fun. Gravity Rush 2 for PS4 seems to use Lua. Loads of games use Lua. There are even games on the PS2 that are scripted in Lua, like retail games. Escape from Monkey Island. Escape from Monkey Island? No. Yeah, that's the one on the PS2, right? The really... I don't know if Mad Supervillain's still in chat, but I'm sure he has something fun to say about the game Escape from Monkey Island. Yeah, this one. But yeah, this runs on the Grime engine, which is Lua scripted... Lua? Coded in Lua. Same engine that Grim Fandango used. It's on YouTube. Am I still working on that? I am still working on everything. So at the moment, it's get texturing working, because I'm going to have to solve texturing really thoroughly for 2D and 3D. Once I've got my Draw 2D APIs finalized and implemented in C, I'm going to try and build a game with them. You just, a simple 2D game, get something working, maybe like a roguelike. I've actually, let me swing over and show you. Oh my god. Sorry, the wind just blew my door shut. That was alarming. Is this going to run? Okay, the textures are a bit bugged. The textures are a bit very bugged. But I've got like a randomly generated dungeon you can kind of walk through, except not. Because none of it hasn't generated properly. Okay, but I was playing around with it the other day. You can like walk through a bunch of different rooms. It generates a random dungeon layout when it starts. Mad Supervillain hasn't played Escape from Monkey Island. You're not missing that much, unless you like giant monkey mecha fights. Grim Fandango is a fantastic game. Highly recommend Grim Fandango if people haven't played it. One of my faves. Okay, so we're loading this a bit wrong. Could it be to do with this? What if we just don't do this swap here? Let's build first and then run. Okay, so that looks better. That looks better, but it's wrong. Am I familiar with retro console soft modding? For GameCube, PS2, and PS1 using a modern memory card based method? Yes. PlayStation 2, I use FreeMcBoot. I'm getting a hard drive delivered, an HDD adapter delivered soon, so I'm going to be playing with free HD boot if I can get my fat PS2 working. I bought a fat PS2 online recently with a broken disk drive, and I was like, hey, this will be good. Broken disk drive, I got it really, really cheap, but I'm having some problems with it. I don't think I can really show you easily. I don't have the screws and stuff in it because I've been taking it apart every other day. But, yeah, having some problems with it. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to run, but, yeah, I'm keen to get a hard drive set up in it. For GameCube, I actually played GameCube games on a Wii. I can set up a PS1 memory card with Homebrew. So you can do a similar exploit on a memory card exploit on PS1. I don't have a PS1, unfortunately. I emulate PS1 and Nintendo 64, but I do want a PS1 at some point. So this looks good, right? This looks like we're doing the right kind of thing, but this color is wrong. These two colors are not this close together, right? It actually looks better without the swap. It looks like something that's got the right colors in the right place. So is this a problem with 24 bits per pixel? Is this the wrong thing? Is this the wrong thing? So let's split this logic out for, well, let me check. I can check here if I go, this has an alpha channel. This should be, and actually we can check, right? We can very realistically check because this maps to a 32-bit per pixel image. Okay, so it's 32 bits per pixel. I might have to just dump the whole buffer. Let's do it. Let's commit. Let's check the let's look at what's in it. So it's called Big Pal. And it looks like this. Okay, so this is the header. This is where the data starts. So black. So this is our Pico 8 palette, right? And we've always got this FF. So if this is, so 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. Ancient Wear. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for the kind words. I love it. And people have been appreciating it. I've been getting some good views on YouTube. I've had some really great messages from people. Yeah, definitely keep them coming. I'm having a lot of fun doing these shows. So, this is our color palette. This all looks good. And this is the red, this is the blue, this is the green, this is the alpha, right? So if I go to, for example, this color here, we look at it under a microscope, 7E2553. 7E2553, right? Blue, red, blue, green. So we're swapping index 0 with index 2. And BPP should be 4. Let's just log some more info. Log some more info. Let's see what's gone wrong. We could just try more permutations, right? That is also an option. So image, where is it? I think Buffalo. 4 bytes, 32 bits. Sorry, I got these in the wrong order. Cool. Okay. So 16, whatever, we don't care. For every pixel, times width plus I times BPP plus 2. Again, maybe we can just do this. But this is such a simple change that I want to do it online if possible. I would rather not have to do it offline. Oh wait, hold on. This isn't a wait, I'm over. Hold on. Whoa. Of course, because I'm overriding it and then copy. Yeah, no, I need a temp. So what one am I temping? I'm temping buffer j times header dot width plus I equals this, and then this equals temp. Cool. That checks out. So for people coming in, just to defend myself here, right? The problem, and this is a car, not an ant. The problem here was I was copying this from one buffer to another buffer, but now I'm just doing it in place, so I forgot to have a temporary value for the swap. Magicaros, good morning. Thank you for stopping by. It is very much not morning here. I should get like a webcam pointing out my window so you can see Australia cam, the place where it is a bizarre time of day. Okay, we missed a semicolon, but other than that I think we're good to go. Now we should see something that looks like the Pico 8 palette, right? Are these, this looks like the top row of the palette. 1, 2, 3, that's it. That looks like it. So let's see if we can draw some, well, let's do the same thing here first. Let's temp it up. Temp, except here it's +1, and then this is gonna be TMP. Beautiful. Okay. It's 6:21 AM where you are in Europe. That is early. What are you doing up so early? It's a crazy time of morning. I do not oblige that. Alright. So. Let's just work in this file for now. Let's go. Let's reuse this test text variable, I guess. Test text host. Now the file is called. If I go into 3D test asset, so Big Pal, it's called Pico Tiles. Except it isn't. Or it is. That'll be fine. I think that'll be fine. Let's see what happens if I do this for now. Pico Tiles. Then I need to upload it. And then I need to draw it. Let's see what happens when I run. Is it going to explode? It does. Cannot upload texture that has not been allocated. Attempt to index a nil value meta. Failed to read the file. Okay. Here we go. You hate that you could probably reproduce the Ps1 palette from memory. It's a good one. It's great. It's so ubiquitous. I had a search on itch.io for assets tagged with Ps1 because I'm like, well, maybe I can pull in other people's art rather than my terrible art. But yeah, I'm just amazed how much stuff there is for it. And even like assets for sale using that color palette. It's incredible. I love what he's done. Right now you include coffee. Perfect. That sounds like the right thing to do at 6 a.m. Okay, so something has gone wrong. It can't find the file. Failed to read file. Failed to read file. Pico tiles. Where are you? Open Pico tiles.tga. Pico tiles.tga. Failed to read it. Failed to read. Why are you struggling with this? Why are you struggling with this? Bigpal.tga? Fine. Picotiles.tga asset picotiles.tga. Have I made a typo? Let me rewrite it. Let me rewrite it. Is there something about underscores and names that is wrong here? No. Failed to read file. Let's try a let's go back to my friend moon.tga. Okay. Moon.tga. Where are we? Where are we? Moon loads. Moon loads. We're happy to load moon. Okay. Why? What goes wrong? We'll call this pp.tga in honor of my earlier typo. And let's see what happens when we run it. Index a nil, local TT. Where are we? Where are we? Open. It can't open this file. Why can't it read this file? What is going on? Probably fire up something that can't count past 65535. Love a good 16-bit console. So what is going on with this file right now? Why can this file not be opened? Am I losing my mind? Transparency. No, not this. Yeah, okay, let's do this. Let's transparency, add alpha channel. Let's export it. Let's see, just in case something weird has happened to this file, let us nuke it from orbit. pp.tga. Replace it. We can load it, no RLE, top right. Plugin crashed. Huh. Okay. Is my disk about to blow up? Let's see. Where is this? Asset. We're going to override. We're not going to override anything. We're going to call it pp.tga. We're going to no RLE, top left, export, and it crashed. Interesting. x.tga. And it crashed. That really doesn't feel good. Maybe I should just like make sure I git push. Look, my file system exploding seems like a good a time as any to cut the stream, unfortunately. I would like to keep going a little bit longer, but this seems... I think this error is going to break me. I think this error is going to break me, unless anyone has any weird suggestions, but this seems like I have done something to this file that is unspeakable, or this directory that is unspeakable. So, this has been a fun stream. Thank you everyone who stopped by. We've still got a few viewers. Let's find someone to raid. But for everyone who has been watching this online, just a quick shout out as well. You are welcome to donate to me if you want to support this show. Everything you donate will go back into running this show. Things like PlayStation 2 memory cards and stuff that I will use in building the things that I build on the stream, or things like lighting, etc. Obviously no obligation to donate. And for everyone watching on YouTube, thank you very much for tuning in. Be sure to tune in next time.